You are America's most wanted and needed. Yes, sir. Let me say it louder. For my chosen ones in the back. Listen, family, you are America's most wanted and needed. I need somebody to drop in the comments and say, I'm America's most wanted. Yes, sir. Make sure you drop in the comments, family, and say I'm America's most wanted. Now, if you are tuning in from a different country like Africa, Switzerland, Italy, France, I mean, the list goes on. You can say, for instance, Italy's most wanted, Africa most wanted, whatever the case is. However, y'all, you are the most wanted and needed where you currently reside. All right. Now, two things about being America's most wanted. The reason why I say America is because most of us on this video live in America. All right. Now, this is not me limiting my greatness or my support system because obviously, once again, shout out to those who support me out of the country. Okay. However, y'all, most of us here are from America. The second thing I want to say about this, y'all, is that you have the recipe. Okay. You have the recipe. And most of the people who reside where you reside don't have that recipe. You got it, though. Somebody drop in the comments and say, I have the recipe. Yes, sir. Make sure you drop in the comments, family, and say, I have the recipe. Y'all, that's why I love the song by LMA. I think it's called She Don't. When she like, she don't, she don't, and she was like, she don't got the recipe. Listen, y'all. What she was saying is that, listen, she can do whatever it is that a woman can do for a man. But she can't do it like me. You know why? Because she don't got the recipe. And that's the same thing with you. Listen, y'all, they don't have the recipe. They can cook a pizza, but they can't cook it like you. Why? Because they don't have the recipe. And within a recipe, it takes what? Ingredients. You got to know how much cayenne pepper. You got to know how much, tomato sauce. You got to know how much chili pepper. You got to know the onions, the bell pepper. You got to know the mozzarella. You can't just put together a pizza when you don't have a specific recipe. Right? Domino's can't do pizza like Little Caesars. Little Caesars can't do pizza like Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut can't do pizza like Papa John's. They all have their own specific recipe. And that's what you have. Marlon Wayans was speaking on the podcast, and he said that when we walked away from the Scary Movie franchise, because that was their idea, their innovations, they say once we walked away from it, they took it from us. And yeah, the first one did good because off of the hype of what we created. But that last one they did, it flopped because they didn't have the recipe. Right? In his exact words, they gonna taste it and realize that ain't the wins. We cool on that. That's the same thing with yourself. You got the recipe. You have the recipe, y'all. And so with that being said, this makes you America's most wanted and needed. Point blank, period. All right. But I'm not going to blow smoke up, y'all. Know what it is. We're going to go ahead and get directly into this video. Now, family, y'all make sure y'all leave a thumbs up on this video as well as subscribe to the channel. Yes, sir. Not only that, y'all, but y'all be sure to ring my bell so you can be notified after every single video I post. And yes, y'all, this is the second video of today. We're going to go ahead and get directly into it, y'all. We still right here in front of the legendary great couch. And anytime I'm in this position, y'all, something legendary going to be said. Matter of fact, drop in the comments and say legendary. But let's go ahead and get directly into this masterpiece. Number one, y'all, you got the stuff. You got the stuff, y'all. All right, that goes right back to what I was speaking about. You have the recipe, and within that recipe, you have the ingredients. Reno, what are the ingredients? You got love. Everybody don't have that love in their heart genuinely. You got compassion. Everybody don't care the way that you care. You have intellect. Everybody is not thinking the way that you're thinking. The conversation that you are able to produce, the conversation that you are able to comprehend. You have intellect. Everybody don't have the mindset and mentality that you have. You different. You have understanding. Everybody don't have the patience. See, it takes patience to understand. It takes intellect to understand. Right? It takes comprehension to understand. And the list goes on. Everybody don't have the gift. See, you're very gifted. That's a part of the ingredients. You are gifted. Maybe you have the gift of healing, the gift of counseling, the gift of artistry, the gift of speaking, the gift of gab, the gift. You got it. Somebody drop in the comments and say, I'm gifted. Yes, sir. Make sure you drop in the comments, family, and say, I'm gifted. I'm just being honest with you. You're also talented. That thing that you were born with, you don't even have to work on it, right? Now, it would be wise to work on it to get better, but a person who was born out of the womb singing, they don't necessarily have to work on singing if they're not trying to further their talents, right? Or if they're not trying to become professional or go on tour or do something that's going to cause them to be able to make a lot of money, right? If they just want to sing in a church or sing around their home, they're naturally going to be the best in whatever organization, family, church, organization, congregation, the list goes on, school, whatever. They're naturally going to be the best because they are talented. That's a part of the ingredients. Humbleness. Everybody don't have the ability to be, confident, but still humble with it, right? And, y'all, I know I always say a humble person don't have to say that they're humble. A confident person don't have to say that they're confident. The list goes on. But I would consider myself to be humble, right? I'm easily in a position to be arrogant, but I never allow myself to fall in that rabbit hole. I never allow myself to fall in a place of being, conceited. You know why? Because I believe that he who does not humble himself will be humbled. Life can humble you. Your kids will humble you. The person who you place on the pedestal will humble you. Life in general will humble you. So a person who have that talent, that gift, and they know that they have the recipe, it's rare to also be humble, right? And last but not least, y'all, spirituality. You're close to the Most High. You have a discerning spirit. You locked in. So when I say you got the stuff, you got all that, right? You have it all. Love, compassion, intellect, understanding, gift, right? Talent, humbleness, and spirituality. When you think about a sports scout, where he's going, listen, y'all, some of those sports scouts not only scout high school, but they start scouting them when they are in elementary. They just sit there and watch them. Then they go to their football games in middle school. Then they go to their football games or basketball games in high school. And the list goes on. They just keep watching them, paying attention to their academic, careers, academic schedules, all the things that they have done. They pay attention to them. The reason why is because they know that they're going to be a high commodity. They know that they're going to be a high commodity. And that's the same thing with yourself. You got the stuff. When you have the stuff, people are looking for you high and low. Right? Like what Marvin Gaye said, ain't no mountain high enough to keep me away from you. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough. They're coming to find you. They're looking for you. And that's what I like to get everyone to know who has value, right? There's someone, male or female, that's looking for you. Not you specifically, but the characteristics that you have. The traits that you have naturally is not an act. Somebody drop in the comments and say, I'm not acting. Yes, sir. Make sure you drop in the comments, family, and say, I'm not acting. This is not an act, right? Because I guarantee you, if you were, you would have been exposed a long time ago. You are a high commodity. Number 2, y'all, there's a scarcity of real ones. All right. There's a scarcity of real ones. I'm going to just be honest, y'all. It's not too many real ones that exist on planet Earth. Maybe on Jupiter, right? Last time I checked, y'all, you can't live there. So there's no real ones there. Maybe on Mars, but wait. Last time I checked, y'all, it wasn't nobody who can live there. I think Mars is a gas planet, so it's impossible to live there, right? What I'm saying is, y'all, is that there's a scarcity of real ones, and they're not nowhere to be found here on planet Earth. It's a very limited amount of real ones, okay, who has the same stuff that you have. But when real ones meet, they lock in. because they know that it's not too many people who are like them. Make sense of what I'm saying, y'all? Drop in the comments and let me know. Now, in early Jamestown, Virginia, y'all, around 1609 and between 1610, there were food shortages. Yeah. And so what that led to was killings. What that led to was a bunch of break-ins. What that led to was, people acting the fool, right? Because it was food shortages and there was a scarcity of resources. So what that naturally does to people is causes people to loot, to break into stores, break into homes, break into wherever the resources and food are. You know why? Because I got to feed my family. You know why? Because I'm starving and I don't want to die. You know why? Because we need this. That's the mentality of human beings when things are scarcity. Now you see why I say you are America's most wanted and needed. That's why a narcissist see you and they snatch you right on up. The problem is we have to stop attracting narcissists and attract another empath or attract another chosen one or attract another person who's like-hearted and like-minded. Let me say that once again, y'all, who's like-hearted and like-minded, right? Therefore, you won't be misused and abused and misplaced, okay? But sticking to the point, y'all, there's a scarcity of real ones, okay? Same thing, y'all, when it comes to men and women. There's not too many men or women who's loyal, who's loving, who's caring, who's not vindictive, who's not trying to use the kids as a pawn, who's not crazy, who's not a cheater. The list goes on. Reno, what are you saying right now? There's a scarcity of real ones. So whenever a man or woman see that quality, whether they are up to par, and when I say up to par, I'm not talking about looks, but I'm talking about being qualified, because if you are a person who don't have these qualities, what make you think that you are qualified to possess or have a person with these type of qualities? Someone may be mad at me when I say this, but y'all hear me out. I don't believe that a male or female, man or woman, who has multiple kids deserve to be with another person who don't have kids. Let me say that once again. I don't believe that a male or female, this is not gender specific, male or female, deserves a man or woman who does not have kids, right? Because if y'all have all these kids, why do you think you're qualified to have a person who don't have kids? In fact, it's not even fair. You should want to have a person who's like-minded and who has the same thing. But the problem is a lot of people are selfish and they want you to deal with their baby mama and baby daddy, but they don't want to deal with your baby mama or baby daddy. Make sense of what I'm saying? Bruno, what does this have to do with anything? This goes back to there's a scarcity of real ones. And so when people who are not qualified, when people who are not real, when people who are not on that same trajectory or level, they still are selfish enough to realize that I need to snatch this up off the market. It ain't too many of those real ones out there. And this ain't even just got anything to do with kids. This is just people in general. I feel like cheaters should be with cheaters. Disloyal people should be with disloyal people. People with multiple kids should be with people with multiple kids. But since there are a scarcity of real ones, they snatch them right on up off the market and misuse them, abuse them, take advantage, and the list goes on. Right? Number 3, it's going to be this right here, y'all. You carry an independence. You carry an independence. So let's go ahead and just speak about this, y'all. Self-reliance has always been attractive. Okay? It has always been attractive and a necessity, right? When you think about the song Neo, She Got Her Own, right? When you think about even Boosie, INDEPEN, that song, the independent song. It's always been attractive, but not just only for women, but for men too, right? It's just more of a shocker when a woman have her own. Because as men, we were raised up to be independent, supposedly. We were raised up to be providers, supposedly, because every man was not taught up the right way or brought up the right way. And so what I'm saying is, y'all, is that independence and self-reliance has always been attractive and a necessity. So what happens is when you have that trait, it makes you America's most wanted and needed because you are independent. It's always been looked up upon. Make sense of what I'm saying? Now, we're not saying that, especially for the women, it's for women to feel like, yeah, I'm independent and I don't need a man. No, it's just great to know that you can do it on your own. Now, for the real men who are providers, baby, you know what? Let me sweep you off your feet and let me do that. Let me place you in a more feminine position. Let me place you in a more, soft girl era, right? You do other things that women do. Let daddy go out here and take care of all of it. Let the man take care of everything. Make sense of what I'm saying? And my real man gonna know, all right? My real man gonna know. But anyway, the point is that when you carry an independence, it makes you America's most wanted and needed, male or female. Number 4, leadership. Leadership. So when you are a leader, it makes you America's most wanted and needed from a positive way and a negative way. Let's speak about the negative first and then we'll end off positive, right? So when you are a leader, people tend to take that as a form of disrespect. They get mad when you're not a follower of their teachings. They get mad when you're not a follower of their doctrines. They get pissed off when you're not moving in the way that they move, right? Especially when it comes to jobs and careers. Like, if you don't have your own dreams, you're going to spend your very life helping someone else build theirs. Point blank, period. Reno, what does this have to do with anything? When you are a leader, and the more leaders that are out here, the less people or the least amount of people they have to help them work on their dreams and build up their careers and build up their businesses. This is why they hate leaders, because we don't have no one to follow and build our dreams and build our ships and help us sail, right? And just pay them peanuts and pennies. This is why, even in my group, y'all, I'm teaching people to be leaders. Stay with me as long as possible until you feel strong enough to go out here and be a leader and do your own thing. Build your own company. Build your own group. That's leadership. Now, the positive, side of being a leader that makes people want you and, need you is because people are looking for someone to follow, right? People are looking for someone to follow. There's so many people in the world who are, weak-minded. And sometimes, y'all, people can't even help it because they feel that they don't have the tools, right? They feel like they're not qualified. But that's why it's for you as God's people to uplift the weaker ones, to uplift those who are lost and confused. So the positive side of being a leader is that you get to lead your own tribe, right? In the name of God, though, right? These are the sheep that he sent to you. The positive side is you get to make an impact. The positive side is you get to inspire others. The positive side is being a leader. Somebody gonna walk up to you one day and say, if it wasn't for you, I would have never made this turn. If it wasn't for you, I would have never been able to survive. If it wasn't for you, I would not have been able to do this for my kids or myself. And that's the best feeling you will ever feel in life, knowing that you helped change somebody's life. Number 5, y'all, is going to be you are mysterious. All right. You are mysterious. And so, family, I can't say this and stress this enough. When you carry a mystery or a mysterious persona, a mysterious aura about yourself, it causes people to wonder about you. A great person, and the greatest person in history, y'all, is Tommy. Yeah, Tommy. He was very mysterious. They wanted to know what he did for work. They wanted to know what he did on his break. They wanted to know, who are you outside of our friend group? Why? Because he did not speak on his business like that. He did not speak about his life like that. He stayed low key. Somebody drop in the comments and say, remain low key. Yes, sir. Make sure you drop in the comments, family, and say remain low key. This is what he did. But family, when you have this mysterious aura, it makes people wonder about you. In fact, it makes you attractive. In fact, it makes you even more charming. It makes you more of a puzzle. And people, it's in human nature, y'all, to love those who give them a puzzle or problem to solve. Point blank period. People love it. When you lay all your cards out or lay out all your marbles on the table, you ain't mysterious no more. I'm not saying that nobody would love you or, like to be your friend, but for the most part in human nature, we love mysteries. That's why mystery movies do very good. Get Out. It's like a mystery. There's other movies too that are mysteries, but the point is, y'all, people love solving mysteries. Even horror films, they love solving mysteries, right? But anyway, y'all, this is what makes you America's most wanted and needed. Understand that, all right? But family, I'm going to catch y'all in the Rich Mentality or at the Rich Mentality Academy. Y'all make sure y'all go over there and join the membership, all right? Go meet your tribe. Y'all be sure to get one of those books, book a one-on-one session with your boy. All right, y'all be sure to go over to the Rich Mentality Academy once again. I can't say it enough, y'all. Get a Yes Sir t-shirt, okay? Check out any one of my books. And yes, y'all, I said it again, book a one-on-one session. But I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. Y'all keep a rich mentality. Peace.